Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever thought about what made Bellatrix Lestrange so insanely devoted and terrifying? What if her madness had a logical explanation rooted in deep psychological wounds? In today's video, you will find out the shocking truth behind her descent into darkness. The world of Harry Potter is filled with unforgettable characters. Some are noble heroes, others complex and layered. And then there are those who leave a lasting impression as villains. Bellatrix Lestrange was not just another Death Eater, she was Voldemort's most fanatical follower, a witch whose very presence radiated chaos. Played brilliantly by Helena Bonham Carter in the films, Bellatrix was more than just a servant of the Dark Lord. She was a force of destruction, a zealot who sometimes even outmatched Voldemort himself in her ruthlessness. But why was she like that? What made her so erratic, so violent, so completely unhinged? Let's dive into her past and uncover the truth. Born into the prestigious House of Black, Bellatrix was raised with a deep sense of superiority. Her family saw themselves as pure blood aristocracy, looking down on Muggle-borns and even other wizards who didn't share their beliefs. From childhood, she was taught that power and bloodline mattered above all else. At Hogwarts, she was sorted into Slytherin, where she mingled with future Death Eaters like Lucius Malfoy. But while others hesitated, Bellatrix embraced Voldemort's ideology without question. She didn't just follow him, she worshipped him. Her loyalty knew no limits. She tortured Neville Longbottom's parents into insanity, never betrayed Voldemort even in Azkaban, and returned to his side the moment she escaped. Until her final breath in the Battle of Hogwarts, she remained his most dangerous enforcer. But what truly made her this way? Some believe it was Azkaban. Years spent in the wizarding prison, surrounded by Dementors, could have shattered what little sanity she had left. The constant exposure to despair and darkness might have turned her into something even more monstrous than before. Others point to unrequited love. Yes, Bellatrix was obsessed with Voldemort, not just as a leader, but as a man. While she was married to another Death Eater, it was Voldemort she truly loved. But he was incapable of love, and her desperate need to prove herself to him only drove her deeper into madness. She committed atrocities, hoping to earn his approval, but all she ever received was cold indifference. There's even a controversial theory that Bellatrix bore Voldemort's child, Delphi, as introduced in The Cursed Child. But whether or not that's canon remains up for debate. One thing is certain, Bellatrix Lestrange was not just a villain. She was a tragic figure consumed by devotion, madness, and a desperate need for validation, and that perhaps is what makes her one of the most chilling characters in the Harry Potter universe. Bellatrix Lestrange was not born a monster, but she became one. The seeds of her madness were planted long before she ever met Voldemort. Growing up in the Black family meant being raised on strict, almost fanatical beliefs about blood purity and magical supremacy. From the moment she could understand words, she was told she was superior, destined for greatness, part of a lineage that ruled the wizarding world from the shadows. There was no room for doubt, no space for kindness, no tolerance for weakness. The Blacks did not love, they commanded, they did not protect, they controlled, and Bellatrix, the most promising daughter of the family, absorbed every lesson like a sponge. At Hogwarts, her world expanded but did not soften. Slytherin was a natural fit, a house where ambition and cunning were valued above all. She surrounded herself with like-minded students, Lucius Malfoy, Severus Snape, the future Death Eaters who whispered in dark corners about a powerful wizard rising to restore order. But while others spoke with caution, Bellatrix spoke with fire. She didn't just agree with the ideology of pure blood supremacy. She believed in it with a dangerous, almost religious conviction. And when she first met Tom Riddle, everything in her life suddenly made sense. Voldemort was more than a leader to her. He was an idea made flesh, a force of nature. He didn't just believe in the purity of magic, he embodied it. He was cold, merciless, brilliant, and most importantly, he saw power the same way she did, as something to be seized and wielded without hesitation. From the first moment she stood in his presence, she knew she would follow him anywhere, and she did. But Voldemort was not a man who gave love in return. He inspired obsession, but he felt nothing for those who worshipped him. Bellatrix, despite her brilliance, never understood this. She thought if she proved herself, if she fought harder, killed more, showed him she was more devoted than anyone else, he would finally look at her the way she wanted. But he never did. He used her, praised her when she was useful, punished her when she failed. And instead of resenting him, she only tried harder. Her marriage to Rodolphus Lestrange was an afterthought, a strategic move to uphold the purity of the Black and Lestrange bloodlines. There was no love, no real affection. To Bellatrix, Rodolphus was irrelevant. Her heart, if she even had one left, belonged entirely to Voldemort. And that love, twisted and unreciprocated, drove her to madness. Azkaban took whatever remained of her sanity and shattered it. Unlike other prisoners, she never screamed for release, she never begged, she never regretted a single crime. She sat in her cell, whispering his name like a prayer, smiling when the Dementors tried to break her. In her mind, she wasn't imprisoned. She was waiting. She knew he would return, that he could not be destroyed. And when the time came, she would be there, ready to serve him again. When she escaped, she was different, more erratic, more dangerous, more violent. The years in Azkaban had hollowed her out, but they had also reinforced her purpose. There was nothing left of the girl who once walked the halls of Hogwarts. Only a weapon remained, one sharpened to perfection and ready to strike at anyone who stood in Voldemort's way. She threw herself into the Dark Lord's plans with renewed intensity, killing, torturing, destroying, all in the name of proving her devotion. And when she failed, when she allowed herself to be outmatched, the punishment was swift. Voldemort did not tolerate weakness. He did not care for loyalty when it was not backed by results. When Bellatrix lost the prophecy in the Department of Mysteries, when she allowed Sirius Black to escape justice for so long, when she let Harry Potter and his allies slip through her fingers, she saw something in Voldemort's eyes she had never seen before: disappointment. It burned more than any spell ever could. She had spent her life giving everything to him, and in the end, she was just another servant, replaceable, expendable. That moment, more than anything, sealed her fate. She became more reckless, more violent, more desperate to win back his favor. She murdered without hesitation, struck down friend and foe alike, fought like a woman possessed. Even as the war turned against them, even as the Dark Lord's forces crumbled, she never wavered. She was willing to die for him, but more than that, she was willing to kill for him. And she did over and over again until the moment came when she met an opponent she could not defeat: Molly Weasley. A mother, a woman Bellatrix had dismissed as weak, insignificant, nothing more than an obstacle in a battlefield of greater warriors. But Bellatrix underestimated the power of a mother's love, something she had never felt, never understood. When she laughed at Molly's grief, when she taunted her, she sealed her own fate. It was not a grand duel that ended her life, not an epic showdown with Harry Potter or another great wizard. It was a mother's fury, raw and unstoppable, that struck her down. In the end, Bellatrix Lestrange, the most feared Death Eater of them all, was defeated by the one thing she had never been able to grasp: love. Her story did not end with redemption. There was no last-minute revelation, no plea for forgiveness, no moment of clarity. She died as she had lived, consumed by her own fanaticism. Perhaps in her final second, she realized that all her years of devotion, all her sacrifices, had been for nothing. But if she did, she never showed it. Her legacy, however, remains. Some see her as a cautionary tale, a warning of what happens when love turns to obsession and power becomes the only thing worth living for. Others admire her not for her morals, but for her absolute conviction, her willingness to go further than anyone else. And some, even now, wonder